Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Concert Junkies, Rob and John.
So good we saw it twice.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Savage.
It's been sickening. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? It's okay. It's all right. Represent. Get it out there. So what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
What's going on?
I'm good. I got a nut in my mouth. I'm trying to get it out.
What's now?
Yeah, I know, right? All right. I'm sure everyone already knows who me and Rob are, but I'll put it out there anyway, of course. It's Randall Savage, Savage Ladies of Metal, co-hosting Wednesday nights as always, and with my awesome partner out of New Jersey, we got Rob from Concert Junkies. What's up, Rob?
What's up, Rob?
What's going on?
And of course, we got Jay from SF Incorporated, otherwise aka known as Skullfuckers, out of Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Eau Claire. Get that Uper out. Eau Claire, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, okay. I'll work on that. Chicago thing, I know. What's up, guys? You guys doing all right?
Yeah.
I'm good. I had a horrible migraine last night, but thank God that's gone, so I can actually think and talk.
I did see that post about that, but I was at work. So
It's terrible. I thought I was going to puke. It was one of the worst migraines I've had in a while. Ugh.
Yummy. Anyway, moving on. So he's puking. He's got migraines. I got a nut in my mouth. It started out great. So anyway.
Say what?
Oh, Stewie.
I know, right? So anyway, this is also another push promotion that that Jay has with the Savage Ladies of Metal. I'm excited to lock it up and do an actual interview, not just a review, but to actually just discuss and talk about Skullfuckers and the story of them, what they're about, and what's coming.
Like the nut in your mouth. Yeah,
like the nut in my mouth, exactly. So anyway, Jay, first and foremost, the story behind Skullfuckers. How did you come up with that name?
Well, so Skullfuckers used to actually be two people. It was me and this other cat who we called Crotch. That was like his stage name, I guess you could say. And,
Oh, fucking Crotch?
Well, and how he got that name is so lame. I'm not even gonna. It's not even worth talking about. Just whatever your imagination comes up with on how he got that name is probably cooler than how he actually got that name. So we'll just leave it at that.
All right.
So Crotch, at any rate, when he was originally like the vocalist and I was the guitarist, and we'd kind of had a revolving door concept with drummers and bassists, but it was always me and Sean or Crotch. And anyway, he always wanted to have a band or have there be a band called Skullfuckers Incorporated. He was a big Nine Inch Nails fan, and they have a song called Starfuckers Incorporated. And he just thought that could have been cooler had it been Skullfuckers. And I'm like, well, why don't we just name our band Skullfuckers then, if that's what you want? And he's like, can we do that? I'm like, dude, we're the Skullfuckers. We can do anything. He's like, yes. So that's how that went. It's that simple.
Okay, so the SF Incorporated, how did that go about?
Right, and that's how we promote it, right? So like in any sort of censorship kind of situation where you can't say the fuck word, then it's SF Incorporated.
Okay, so for everyone who does want to look them up, if you haven't noticed, every time I promote them, I do tag the name that they use on, but it's very sensitive, as we know. So it's
not by my choice. I wanted it to be Skullfuckers on all of my social media, but of course Twitter and all that stuff. No, they won't let you do that. So it has to be SF Incorporated. Right. So
AKA Skullfuckers.
If you're in the know, you're in the know.
Right, exactly. So that's a great name. Absolutely done. trippy as hell. But so now, the now when did Skullfuckers actually? When was it first actually created?
1998.
Okay, so you've been around a minute.
We've been around a minute. 1998, we probably played our first actual show. Oh no, it would have been in 1988. Yeah, no, because we used to dabble with psychedelics back in the day, and actually these days, if you talk about mushrooms and you're in the state of Colorado, nobody even cares anymore. It's not like mushrooms are that big of a deal anymore. But at the time in 1998, that was like big taboo shit. Mushrooms. Oh my God. Felony charges all the way across the board if you get caught with them. So anyway, the first night we jammed as a collective band, I just decided to eat a couple mushrooms just to have some fun and just kind of get the vibe of the whole thing. And everyone was convinced, hey, let's go play this show down the road. It's an open mic night. Let's just go do this open mic night. And I'm like, guys, that's a 21 plus venue. I'm only 19 at the time. I'm high on mushrooms. Like, there's no way I can play a fucking show right now. And they pulled whatever magical strings, my bandmates that pulled, and we played a show that night. First night we ever got together as a band. It was weird, but pretty cool.
Nice. And then the Skullfuckers were born.
And and we immediately made 2 fans that night.
That's how you start out. Every new fan counts, absolutely.
Every new fan counts, even if it's only 1 or 2. Those guys count.
That's where it begins. Word of mouth. Even though it's old school shit, it still works. Still works.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna play with you a little bit. I'm gonna let Rob have some.
Yeah, hit me up with some questions, Rob. What do you got for me?
So what why did you get into music in general?
When? Is that what you asked?
Why?
So, music kind of runs in my family. My grandfather was in a band here in Eau Claire. There was only one music shop in town. It was called Morgan Music. And the owner, Buddy Morgan, played saxophone with my grandfather in this band called the Four Plaids. And they went around town gigging. And my grandmother and him, they were a musical family, and my mother was raised in that kind of household, and her siblings were raised in that kind of household. So the band lifestyle, going out and gigging, doing that kind of thing, I mean, that's in my blood. It's what I know. It's what I do. And I got a guitar for my, hold on here. How old would I have been? 9th birthday? What year did the Nintendo Entertainment System come out? 86? 85, 86?
Good question.
88?
Somewhere it's more. I think more towards the late 80s, but I'm not 100. Exactly when.
It was the year, whatever year Nintendo Entertainment Center, the 8-bit Nintendo with Rob the Robot and all that. Whatever year that came out, I got a guitar that year, and of course, my mom was like, "You have a choice. You can either have a Nintendo or a guitar." And at the time I was like, I want a guitar. And then the next day I regretted buyer's remorse immediately. I was like, no, I want a Nintendo. And my mom went out and got the Nintendo, of course, because she's a good mom. Or maybe I was just that much of a bastard about it. I don't know. But anyway, so I've had a guitar since I was a kid. And then in high school, me and this guy were skipping school and we went back to my house. My mom and dad were at work, so I had the house to myself. He saw the guitar sitting there. He's like, dude. And he started showing me how to play some Metallica and stuff. So age of 14 is really where I started. Like, I learned the power chord and I learned my first riff and really started understanding technique and how to hold a pick and, start building those calluses up on your fingers. You got to have them. Otherwise it hurts to play. So it's the long answer. We'll say 14, but it's been in my blood. So that's the long answer.
But now, besides that, though, you work in general with entertainment altogether, though, don't you?
Yep. So, kind of leading back into the history of the band, Crotch ended up having some personal issues in life, and he had to kind of bow out of the band thing forever. And rather than at the time, I didn't feel right about continuing on with the band without him. I did actually have to play one show without him, where I was the singer and the guitarist, and everyone had to kind of keep up, and it was fun, whatever. But after the band took its hiatus, I guess I went off to college and got a film degree. So started up my company called Saturn Studios after I graduated college, and started doing commercials and music videos locally, and just kind of making a name for myself. I got a grant that helped me. I qualified for a grant that allowed me to kind of expand my gear and get into a building that was halfway decent. And so, yeah. And then Crotch and I started talking again. We reconnected a few years ago, and I was like, I got this grant, and I got all this gear and all this stuff. We could re-record all of our old catalog, all the old Skullfuckers stuff, because all of our old recordings are just garbage. Just basement quality buddies who didn't know how to properly run a mixing board or of any sort. They were just doing it to be nice, to help us out, which was cool, but it just didn't ever sound good. So we'd always wanted to hear our songs and our music on a professional level, because we wanted to know, is it as good as we think it is, or are we just biased, So we started tracking music and stuff, and then again, Crotch ended up running into a few life issues, and so he's done. I took over the reins 100%, finished the first album, and this is how it's going to be for the remainder of Skullfuckers existing on planet Earth.
All right. I'll cut off. All right, go ahead, Jay.
What's that?
I said I'm going to cut off there. I said go ahead, Jay. I meant go ahead, Rob. I'll cut off there. There's a lot of continuances to the story, so I'm not going to cut Rob off too much.
If you wrote a letter to yourself at age 8, would you be proud of yourself at that moment, reading it?
So say that again one more time. Let me make sure I understood that.
If you wrote yourself a letter at age 8.
So like today, I write myself a letter to my young self of 8. Okay.
Would you be proud of yourself?
Yes and no. Graduating college is a very good thing. So that is something I would definitely be like, yeah, do that. I feel like there were maybe some years that got squandered a bit. But on the other hand, I also have to reflect on that and say, well, if it wasn't for whatever I did during those years that I'm thinking I maybe squandered them or whatever, I wouldn't be here right now. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So at the end of the day, the long answer to that question is it matters on what day of the week I write that letter. If I have a bad day, I'd be like, fuck it, kid, hang yourself. 10 sucks. 11's even worse. You know what I mean? But, you catch me on a good day, I'd be like, no. It's worth the efforts. Just stick with it. Plow through. Trust yourself. You do know what you're doing. Don't listen to the fucking negative bullshit that some of the people are going to throw your way. Sometimes you just got to, get that right off the, people are always going to be negative. And you know what I mean? If you allow that negativity to resonate too deep, that's when you start to have regrets and whatever. So it's kind of like, I almost have to retrain myself to get back in touch with my Skullfucker roots, where I don't care. I'm rubber, you're glue. You know what I'm saying? Kind of concept. Like back in the day, you couldn't hurt my feelings. I'm a Skullfucker. What? Now it's like, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm maybe a little bit more sentimental, whatever, nostalgic. As we get older, we all get a little, maybe, I don't know, whatever. It's almost kind of like I got to get reacquainted with that old self again, and just remind myself, no, I know what I'm doing. So again, the long answer to your question, yes, I any given day of the week, I would be proud. Just maybe I'd give myself a couple of tips, like when you meet this person, just don't do anything with them. Or if you find that $100 bill on the ground, invest it wisely. Don't go buying a bunch of chocolate bars or whatever,
Go again,
That's probably the worst response ever.
Sorry.
Who's next? Teddy loves Axel. What up, yo? Thanks for tuning in.
What's up, Teddy? And hi to River and Debbie in the Northwest, I'm assuming. What's up to you too, man? We didn't say hi, so we apologize.
Sorry about that. If you could pick a song to describe you as a person, not one of your own, what song would that be?
Not one of my own?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a good question. Psalm 69 by Ministry. The way to succeed and the way to suck eggs. Yeah, we'll go with that. Psalm 69, Ministry. We'll go with that.
That's awesome. All right, so I wanted to talk about first penetration. I love this interview because everything I say is it's gonna have me cracking up. The name of your first album for Skullfuckers is called First Penetration.
Yep.
How did you come up with that name?
Well, and again, I would love to take credit for it, but this is when Crotch was still involved with this new incarnation of the band. I actually was one of the last things we spoke to each other about. I asked him, I was like, we figured we have about 3 albums worth of material. So this first album, I have another album that's going to be coming out maybe next year at some point, and then a third album will come out a couple of years down the road, and that'll be the entire Skullfuckers catalog. I was like, okay, well, we know there are 3 albums, so let's name them. He didn't even blink. He just knew. He's like, yeah, First Penetration, Second Coming, Third Violation.
Well,
it's like, okay, boom. He just named them right there on the spot. Dude's kind of a genius savant in some ways when it comes to that stuff. It just, and if I ever get stuck on some things, like if I'm writing a new song, let's say for some reason, I can always get back in touch with them and say, hey, let me get a hand here. But I feel like I know the ropes pretty darn well myself. So
okay, so now you just actually a few weeks ago released the first single off of that album, and it's called Spice Girls. And
Spice Girl, that was the first one. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, and we actually did a review on that a few weeks ago, and videos are crazy and wild and trips me out, so I can't help smiling when I think about the videos, the names, everything.
Clowns, man.
What was the inspiration for Spice Girl?
Well, Spice Girl was one of the first songs we actually wrote. I just started playing this riff. It was actually it was the first time Crotch and I started jamming together. I just, came up with the main riff and started playing, and then he had a microphone and we had this little guitar amp that he was trying to sing through at the time. And he would just, I don't know, he just kind of started babbling some crazy shit off the top of his head. I was like, what was that you were saying after we, kind of finished up and realized, okay, this is as far as we can get. We got to kind of stop and talk about the song now and how it's going to be structured. Is this even going to be a song? Is it just something we were jamming to screw around with and warm up with? And we talked and okay, what were you even saying on the microphone? And he's like, oh, come here, little girl, and all this stuff. And I was like, well, what does that even mean? He's like, I don't know. It's just kind of the mood I was in. He was, he didn't really give it a whole lot of thought at the time. So we sat down together and kind of established, this backstory of what it is, and it's a guy who's a, defunct clown from a circus, and his daughter died under mysterious circumstances. And so now he's searching for his daughter, and he goes and steals little girls from parents and maybe kills the parents because they don't exactly give their daughters up, freely. And, he just keeps killing the girls because he's, fucking mental patient. He's nuts. Kind of loosely based on a combination of It and then John Wayne Gacy, serial killer-ish, but we also wanted this monster kind of atmosphere to it. Is this thing human? Is it not?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more, and then I'll let Rob go. Clowns. like clowns. How'd that come about?
I like clowns. I don't have a single problem with clowns. I think, like if the makeup sucks, it's like, well, dude, go redo your makeup. That looks silly and not in a good way. But like if they like are a professional clown and they do their thing, like I always thought that they were funny and goofy looking. Like I grew up with Ronald McDonald and he never freaked me out. Like I was like, yeah, redhead, sell me for some French fries. What you got? And I'm fascinated with this concept that people are actually scared of clowns. Like they're supposed to make you laugh. Why are you scared of a clown? Are you afraid of feeling happy and laughing at I don't know. I have fascination. And then I remember in grade school we were learning this word grotesque, and these clowns, before they were called clowns, they were actually called grotesques. That was what their title was back in the England or whatever the hell. It's been a long time since I've researched it, but they were called a grotesque. And then that term evolved into what we know as clowns. And here in Wisconsin, we have a city called Baraboo, Wisconsin, which is just outside of what some may know as the Wisconsin Dells, America's largest water park. But anyway, Baraboo happens to be home to like Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, P.T. Barnum. They had, just the whole circus industry had a very strong presence. I don't want to say it originated in Baraboo. I don't know my history that well, but it had a strong presence here, and it's got carnivals and that sort of thing have deep roots in our state. So I guess there's Clown World down in Baraboo, and I went there as a kid, and I thought it was neat, and like I said, just this concept that people are scared of clowns. It's like, well, shit, are you scared of mice too? And ants while we're at it? Maybe some spiders?
Yes, I'm answering that one. Hate them. With a passion. You want to see me scream like a bitch? Put a spider in my face. There ain't no savage at that point.
Speaking of which, just real quick, I got to tell you this. So I went into my studio the other day, and I hadn't been in my studio in a few days because I've been kind of busy doing some other stuff. And I walked in, and it felt like I walked into like a spider's nest, like web got on my face and on my arms and everything. And I was like, I looked, and I don't see a web. Like I'm looking around. I don't see any webbing. I don't see any spiders. But I'm starting to get like, the heebie-jeebies. Like I just walked through a spider web, or did I? And then I walk back outside to like bring some stuff in from the car, and I noticed there's a bunch of like little yellow dots all over the window of my front door to this building. I figured maybe it was like pollen trapped up in like some dust or something. No, it was like 150 billion baby spiders. Just itty bitty little fuckers. They're everywhere, dude. And I was like, oh, this is not awesome. So, I tried to clean it up as best as I could, kill them all off. And then I immediately went home and took a very hot shower and was like, ugh, wash these clothes immediately.
I'm having a memory right now. About 10 years ago, I woke up. I thought I was just, I had like an itch on my thigh when I was sleeping. And just like a lot of people, no pants, no underwear, whatever, sleeping naked. I never did that shit ever again after what I saw when I pulled that blanket up. Oh my God, I was traumatized and jumping like a fucking little bitch. There was a baby wolf spider right by. Right there, and walking its way towards my crotch. And I froze and started shaking and started screaming. I jumped, scared the shit out of my now second ex-husband.
He was just looking for a warm cave to chill out in, man. That's all. He just was looking for someplace warm to be.
You know what? Find a different crack. Not mine. Go somewhere else. Okay? That traumatized the hell out of me. And I will never, ever, ever go to sleep without underwear pants on ever again. Never. Never. I literally was traumatized. I refused to go in that room for 2 days because I don't know where the hell that spider went. It went flying, and I took
probably ate them in your sleep. They say we eat like 100 spiders throughout our lifetime as we sleep, or whatever that number is.
Yeah, okay, so moving on from that trauma. Go ahead, Rob. Have at it. Memories. Shit.
He's just looking for someplace warm to be. That's all. No big deal.
No.
If you could change one thing in the industry, what would it be?
Oh my God. Okay. I have to narrow it down to just one because there are several things I would change. But since this is a hot topic right now, I have not personally run into this, but I am concerned that as I get more success, this is going to become an issue for me. So it hasn't phased me yet, but I feel like it's going to soon. And that would be this unholy notion that somehow these concert promoters feel entitled to a percentage of a band's merchandise sales. That needs to stop. That needs to stop as a whole. Why in the world do these promoters? I've done promotions work for years. I never had the balls to ask for someone's. I mean, I've booked Deicide Halloween night in my hometown of Eau Claire here, and I didn't get a percentage of their merch. I wasn't even going to ask them for that. You know what I mean? Like that's a ridiculous notion to me. And I forget who it was. I was listening to an interview recently, and the guy like, I want to say he was in Congress, and he was like actually addressing some sort of committee about Ticketmaster's prices and so on. And he's saying, look, we as the artist don't go around saying, well, we're entitled to a percentage of your drink sales then, and we're entitled to a percentage of your parking parking that you make, and just, and then we get a percentage of the door money that, ticket sales. Like, artists could pull this shit too, and we don't, because we're just trying to grind out our job and do our thing, and we don't want to be taken advantage of or take advantage of anyone else. And this is something where I feel like people are taking advantage of artists, and that's not fair. That's not cool.
I fully agree, because as everyone knows, I'm not just a journalist. I also am a booking and promoting agent. And so, I do it both also. And I've been asked by fans, that wanted to do a show, that wanted to get booked for a show, what percentage of, merch they're going to take. And I was like, no, I don't want that. Especially from the small bands. I mean, they're relying on that just for it to be gas, to buy the next set of merch. And merch is not cheap.
It's not.
The merch is getting more and more ridiculously priced. And the people, and I'm calling this out, I don't care. And the people who are making the merch are increasing what you have to buy in order to get a bigger package. And it's insane, and some of this, and some of the prices are just outrageous. People are asking twice the amount of what a regular t-shirt costs.
And it's the fans who suffer. It's the fans who suffer. It's really fleecing the fan base.
Right. So it's actually the people creating the merch now are the ones who actually.
I need to make my $10 off of a shirt or $5 off of a shirt. So it's like, if I sell a shirt at $20 and I make $5, and then they all of a sudden want to take a cut, now I got to sell my shirt at $30. It's just to make the same $5 or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's the fan who pays more, and it's like, that's not cool. I know when I go to a show, and what if I like several of the bands and maybe I want a couple of shirts? I'm not trying to pay $100 for 2 shirts.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, a lot of the people that are making the merch are jacking up their prices. And if they're not jacking up the prices, they're jacking up the quantity that you have to get. Before it was, 2 years ago, it was 12. And then all of a sudden a year ago, everyone's at 24. And now I'm seeing certain places are going, some certain merch makers are going up to, 50.
Yeah, 40 and 50, right?
It's like, these bands can barely make it to their shows with the gas, because not everyone is getting guarantees. Now, this is where another part comes. I'm not going to go into detail, but being a booking agent, I understand both sides, between the band side about wanting a guarantee and the booking side of guarantees and how that works. I understand both sides, and I don't like door deals. And people who know who know me, I'm not a door deal fan, but I would give Savage incentive if it comes to that. And I'm not going to let you walk. I'm not going to let you come to a show, make $50, $20 because you couldn't sell tickets for shit. That shit drives me nuts. So I do my own thing to make up for it, and I'll pull it out of my own pocket. I don't care. I want to help as much as I can, but the last thing I'm going to do is ask for your merch. And I'm not going to say, hey, I hooked you up with a free show. Can I have a free shirt? No. I'm going to go and buy that damn shirt. I'm not going to take away from the bands. And it's like the bands, some of these bands are driving 2-3 hours one direction just to put on a half-hour set. You
What
know,
were you going to say, Rob?
Well, there's reasons behind why the venue is doing that, and they're protecting themselves, because if there's not a big pull, they get their money to pay you, or they have somebody to, run your merch booth. If you don't have your own person, they have somebody else there.
I guess, but I mean, on the other hand, it's like if they didn't get the draw that they were hoping for, it's like, okay, well, I got to take a portion of your merch just to pay you the amount that I guaranteed you in the first place. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right to me.
I mean, it doesn't sound right, but it's there's plenty of key factors on why certain venues do the way that they do.
Sure. And I don't know all that stuff, I'm just looking at it from a complete musician band perspective. I'm not looking at it from a sympathetic position to the promoter.
That's why I love knowing that I can actually call it from both sides. I see it from all sides. I don't work for, I'm not partnered up with a small bar that throws shows. I'm partnered up with an actual venue. We actually, our capacity is 700, not 200, and no matter, it doesn't matter how big it is, like even when I brought in Jungle Run, for perfect example, we almost filled that whole damn place, and it was a killer show with amazing bands, and even Jungle Run said, "How much do you take it?" And we're like, "None."
So I guess
we don't want none of that. They are banking off this, just the alcohol sales alone. Banking. I can call that, which a lot of it, and I'm going to say, so there's been other places where I wanted to book shows at other locations, at other venues, and when they try telling me they're not making money off alcohol, I stomp on that and say, let's talk about that, because I've been a GM at a bar, and I've run bars too for a few years. Let's talk about your percentages. Oh, now they don't want to even talk to me.
Right.
Because now I know too much. It's like, bartender, management, I've run bars. I've seen it from all sides, and I can play the game now. So I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
One way I will play devil's advocate here for just a moment, and I will give a little bit of sympathy to the promoter, and say, Rob, you brought up a good point. No matter how hard you promote, if you got the unlucky, what is it, the shortest straw, I guess, if you got the unlucky draw, you got a Monday night, and you got a $3,000 guarantee for a 400 person max cap venue. You got to sell out damn near just to break even, and you had 10 people show up because it was a Monday. That hurts. I understand that. So what I guess I feel like is, and this goes to the bands. There are some musicians, I've read a lot of interviews from a lot of different musicians. I try to take, I've listened to what OTEP has to say when she tours. I listen to what Danzig has to say when he tours, even Doyle, and just all these other musicians, and everyone's got their own philosophy and way of thinking. But at the end of the day, you're only on that stage for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops if you're doing a festival or if you're the headliner or whatever. But really, you're on that stage for an hour and a half, okay? And how much are you getting paid for that hour and a half? Now, I understand a lot goes into this. We paid tons of money to promote this record, to get the fan base in the first place. So, trust me, I get it. But what I'm trying to say is this. Day of the show, you're working for an hour and a half. You're sitting, laying around on your bus. You're going and riding ATVs, or maybe doing some laundry. Who knows what you're doing before the show? But the show usually doesn't start until, let's say, 7 at the earliest, 9 at the latest, right? And if you're the headlining act, you're not even hitting that stage till 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So what are you doing that entire day? So what I guess I'm getting at is some of these musicians are like, I hate meet and greets because I just got off that stage and worked my ass off, and the last thing I want to do is meet a bunch of, annoying fans. I've actually read interviews from musicians that say shit like that, and it's like, now hold on here a minute. You can charge money for meet and greets, and that would be a way for a promoter. Look, we're not going to take a percentage of your merch, but we are going to have it in the contract where you have to do a meet and greet, and we're going to charge X amount of money for the meet and greet, and we want half of that meet and greet money or whatever. Now, maybe that's a more fair, equitable way to do things, so that way the band doesn't feel like, a guy they don't even know is reaching his greasy mitts into their pockets, so to speak, to take merchandise that he didn't help design, that he didn't front any money to get the shirts made in the first place. It's got nothing to do with it. Okay, so what's the compromise? And like I said, some of these musicians, they're like, I don't want to meet the fans and I hate doing meet and greets. I just want to go up and play and da 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 da. That sounds like a guy who's been in the industry for too damn long. You hate your job. If you can't be around the fans, man, then what are you doing? It's time to hang it up and go do
They're
something
the
else.
reason that you're there.
Bingo. The fans are the fucking reason that you're getting paid, the reason that you're there. So do a meet and greet. And, and unfortunately, sometimes these meet and greets are going to have to be a little spendy. $100 to meet a band that you want to meet, or $200 to meet the band you want to meet, or whatever. But that's not charging the fan $200 for a ticket. That's over and above. Like, you only got to pay the $20 for the ticket, and you only have to pay $30 for a shirt. That's all fair. But if you want to meet the band and kick it with them and get autographs and stuff, okay, that's where you're paying. And that's like VIP level stuff. And that I don't mind if that's really expensive, because that's what VIP is all about, right? That's where you're really trying to cash in on being an artist and giving the fans that next level face-to-face exposure that they want to have as a fan. But you do have to pay for that, because, okay, well, that is a part of the ordeal. This promoter, he kind of wants a chunk of our merch money. So if you don't want to be paying more money for shirts, this is how we get around that. Because I guess that's my opinion. I think bands need to suck it up, do more meet and greets, charge the bejesus out of them. That's fine. And then that's where the promoters go and get their percentage. That's how they get their compensation, and leave the merch alone. That's my fix. That's my workaround.
Or do a package deal.
Or a package deal, exactly.
Meet and greet, your ticket to get in, and whatever else the band wants to give you.
Right. Yeah, like you're saying, like you get the ticket, you get the VIP, you get the meet and greet, you even get a shirt, $350 or whatever that number turns out to be, Cool. And it could even be like a special shirt that you only get if you do the VIP in the first place.
Right.
There you go. That's the compromise.
That covers everything.
That covers everything. So I guess where's the problem? Why is this such a difficult, monumental hurdle for everyone to get around? To me, this is a 1 + 1 = 2 kind of thing. Everyone wins, including the fans, because now you're tasking these bands. Hey, asshole, I don't want to hear your pampered little tushies sore from playing for an hour and a half, because guess what? Most of the people that you're fans, dude, these guys slave at their jobs for 8, 10, 12 hours a day just to get their $450 a week paycheck. You see what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So, like, the working class isn't about to listen to no pampered superstar that's been in the industry too long complaining about meeting his fans and them having to pay for it. No one's hearing that. So get down off your high horse, hobnob with the lay crowd, if you will. If you're going to take that point of view, hobnob with your fans. They're the reason that you're there. And now you don't have to charge an arm and a leg for merch. Now the promoter has something that they can maybe bank on as far as compensation should ticket sales not be what they want. It's a total win in my opinion. I don't see why this has to be so difficult to figure out.
I agree. I completely agree with that.
There you go. I just solved a huge crisis in the music industry in one 40-minute interview. Boom! Skullfuckers, baby.
You just got skull fucked. There you go. So, no, that's a solid point. I completely agree with you. The whole merch thing should not be touched. And it does, like I said, the people that are making the merch, they're the ones who are actually really nailing the bands to the wall, because they're up in that quantity on how much you want to buy more and more. Of course, they want to make their money too, but now you're taking even more from the band. And yeah, the bands are going to make their money, but they're not. The person making the merch, they want that shit paid up front, right? Immediately. So if they have, even if it's $20, so a lot of them are starting to upgrade to 50. And it's like, okay, these bands are now officially in the hole. The odds of them selling even half of their merch, even half, are virtually slim to none. They're still in the negatives. So they're making it is shit balance. It's like unbalanced what it is. So I feel that because I want to get merch all the damn time. Unfortunately, life interferes. But more you want to get merch, the more you're going to pay. And it's like, dude, your ink went up 10 cents. You charge me $3 more for that. You know, it's, and I'm tired of this COVID bullshit being an excuse. I'm sorry, it's an excuse at this point. It's a bullshit excuse that everyone's using. You know, yeah, inflation. You're not feeding anyone. You're not feeding anyone. It's a fucking shirt. It's a pair of booty shorts or drink, whatever, or, you know, a cup or some shit like that, you know? You know, it's the merch people making the merch now who are really taking from the band. And, you know, more than anything. And it's still a hose job, and they're getting away with it because bands need merch. You know? So
and like I said, just if the band would take an extra half hour out of their day, hour tops, whatever it turns out to be, depending on the size of the show. If it's a 2,000 person show, okay, you're probably looking at a 2-hour meet and greet. You know, as long as you keep the line moving, so to speak. But I mean, if you're going to be asking for $300 for a meet and greet, then maybe you could just be kind enough to spend an actual full 5 minutes per fan and just not whine about it, you know. And I get, like I said, and that way it's, you know, it's designed for the fans who want to spend that money on it. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. So, but moving on from that, though, I do want to talk about your next release. You did release a song about 2 weeks after Spice Girl, and it was called Nightmare. Another trippy ass video. Again,
with a clown.
Huh?
With a clown. It's got a clown in it.
Yeah, with the clown again. And of course, then you guys in the videos, you guys got your makeup all done up. You know, you got your face did. So what is the story behind Nightmare?
So Nightmare takes place in a place I call the Void, right? So that's one of the lines of the song, you know, the void, the darkness. It's basically like the Void is kind of a place between heaven and hell, right? So it's a place where like the criminally insane go. It's like, you know, they can't go to heaven because they're nuts and they maybe murdered some people, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, they can't exactly go to hell because they're insane. Their brain was not wired correctly, so it's not really their fault. I mean, they don't get a pass, but they're not exactly burning for eternity either. So they're in the void, right? Or maybe what some people might call purgatory, but I'm calling it the void.
I like the void better, actually.
Right, so the void. And, you know, you've got these spirits that hang out in the void, and maybe they don't know they're dead. Maybe they do, and they don't care. Maybe they're confused. Maybe they're lost. They're crazy. What do they know, you know? So this clown kind of oversees them, and it's all just a joke to him. He thinks the void is, you know, silly, but it's his job and he's got to do it. And then my band is there playing. So are we also dead and in the void, or am I just the example that's pointing out to these dead people where they are? Right. It's open to interpretation, you know?
Right. Now in that video, I know, I do remember that you had 2 girls in there who were in gowns who obviously
and 1 cup. 2 girls and 1 cup.
And one clown who is the employee of the void or whatever you want. You know, when I think that in between, it makes me think of Beetlejuice. But they had the Lost Souls room. Remember that? That was the in between where you know, there was no real place for them. You know, so I get what you're saying with the void. Yeah. You know, and that clown was like, he was the one that was like taking care of these 2 insane chicks, but he was actually fueling their insanity. And you know, and it was just really trippy. And I was like, I was just like, where is this going? And I mean, it was a hell of a video. And I watched it like 8 times trying to figure out everything, but I can only still come to the same conclusion, which was, and what the fuck?
Well, and another thing, it's kind of like, you know, as we're singing to not just the audience that's listening to the music and watching the video, but we're also kind of singing to the inpatients or the inhabitants of the void. It's like, just remember, this isn't totally your fault because the entire world is shit. Everything's a nightmare. You know, I call this little world that you're in right now my own nightmare. Everything you see on TV is a nightmare. Every newspaper you read is a nightmare. Just everything. It's always badness. Bad. So how can a sane person live in an insane situation? Like, we're constantly at war and, you know, we can't even afford to feed each other, and it's just it's a messed up world. So I'm kind of sympathizing with the people in the void. Hey Gary, I hear you. He says, "Hate fuck the clown."
All right,
Gary played.
So who is the clown? Who? Okay, so the name is Hate Fuck.
Hate Fuck the Clown. That's his
Nice.
name. Yep. Hate Fuck the
Okay,
Clown.
so Gary is Hate Fuck the Clown.
In the video, he was. We're gonna always probably have Hate Fuck the Clown in one form or another throughout the career of this band, and maybe Gary will be Hate Fuck the whole time, and maybe we'll get other Hate Fucks. Who knows? Every day's a new day. There could be many Hate Fuck the Clowns. They could
You
be
never know who's
legion.
behind that mask, so yeah, you can get away with that. Well, nice to meet you, Gary. Hey, fucker. So Nightmare came out. That was a couple of weeks ago, and so how are those two releases been for you guys? Everything's moving on that.
Great. Things are going excellent right now. I get easily excited, so I'm going to say that the song's a hit. But if you talk to Ozzy, he might pat me on the head and be like, "Oh, there, youngster. That's not a hit, but good for you, kiddo. You got some DJs spinning your song. Good for you." To me, that's a hit. Whatever. I've got a few different PR companies that are working for me right now, and they're sending the music off to as many different outlets as they can. Whether it be radio, TV, any sort of magazine outlet that they can, internet, blogs, you name it. These guys are working hard. And Savage Ladies of Metal is one of these teams. I got a shout out for you.
Are involved also, and I know Metal Devastation's in that too.
Yep, that's right. And
is helping out also, yeah.
Right. And so one of these PR companies specializes in radio specifically. They deal with the USA college and independent radio circuit. And every week I get a report on who's ranking where, what, when, and how, and Nightmare has been climbing the ladder, and a couple of radio stations, as a matter of fact, Savage Radio, or is it Savage Radio? Hold on a second. I might be wrong. It's one of the radio stations there in Chicago. They play Nightmare 15 times a week this last week. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
almost like mandatory Metallica level playing of a song. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty happy with that. I'll take it.
Okay.
And I mean, there's a couple stations. There's another station out in Connecticut that's playing it 13 times a week, and then lots of stations, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Madison stuff. They're spinning it once a week, a couple times a week, whatever, which is more common for a small label first time release.
Right.
So, but it's just, I've done this before with another band called Scrog. I've done some release stuff, and I've done some radio and some PR. So these results that I've been getting off of this particular campaign has been far and away the best by far. So I'm saying it's a hit. And plus we've got some celebrities in the music video, and we got a member of Guar plugging it.
So a lot of celebrities in your video. I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So I was just like, dude, everyone's in that video. That's killer.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing I forgot to put in there was the kitchen sink. I should have taken a shot of a kitchen sink to just say I had a kitchen sink in there.
Too funny. Rob, go ahead, man.
Yeah, what you got for me, Rob?
I haven't used this one in a while. If you could be any object in the world, what would you want to be? And a female is not an object.
Tampon. I would be a tampon. So I get to hang out in a nice, warm, dark place all day, every day. No, I don't know. In all honesty, you know what? When I was a kid,
just like
in your face, Fran, you were mortified. You were like, what did you just say?
Just as usual with this now. How can we come out and start to see as a norm with you?
I'm a big fan of Transformers, so I would be a Transformer action figure, but like a living, breathing one that could actually transform.
So like a transformer.
Yeah, like Optimus Prime or something like that, Megatron. That'd be pretty cool.
Maybe a trans tampon Megatron.
Either that, or maybe I'd want to be a guitar, so at least that way I'd get some action and someone would play with me.
Oh shit!
I got dad jokes all day, but yeah, we'll stick with Transformer or tampon, whichever answer you like better. You got one more for me? Rob's like, I quit. I'm done. Fuck this guy.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Damn I'm just gonna shut up. Go ahead, Rob. You have another one, man.
Just give me 1 second, please.
You're making me cough over here. Oof.
Sorry. Oh, this is shit. Everything went black. Oh, that was funny. Poof,
He's just trying to disappear. I am so out. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's too funny.
Did he just like pull a superhero maneuver and just disappear? He's like the Invisible Man now.
It's the graphics. The graphics are like, I don't know. The graphics are weird when sometimes I'll put the design behind him, sometimes he doesn't. But the graphics must.
Oh, there he is. Welcome back. I missed you.
If you could pick one of your songs to be in a movie, what kind of movie would you want it to be in?
Oh, easy answer. I got this one. Nightmare on Elm Street. I want Nightmare in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Why?
Yep.
Why Nightmare?
Why? Well, I mean, I love Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, for sure. And actually, I tried to get Robert Englund to yell Nightmare for the music video, but it just didn't work out, unfortunately. But I just think it would be super cool. I'm a fanboy like that. I love those old horror films and, Jason, Freddy, Michael, all those mask wearing, claw having, whatever villains who love to murder children in their sleep. I dig that stuff. So if I could have one of my songs in a Nightmare on Elm Street film, and word has it, there is going to be one more. And this
I saw that.
This is Robert Englund's swan song. This is his final farewell to the Freddy character or whatever. So it's this is a goal of mine. If I could get Nightmare in that movie, I win. I'm happy.
That'd be killer if Robert came back for that, man. That'd be killer because I know
that's my understanding. That's my understanding.
That'd be killer.
I know you turned into a pumpkin here pretty quick. Do we got to get going, or do you guys have time for any more questions?
I can go 5 more minutes. I apologize, everyone. Man, we have to be at work by 10. So, but we can kill a few more minutes. I'm so 5 more minutes isn't going to kill me. But you mentioned the celebrities that were on the video to go down the list. We got Tom Arnold, John Wheeler, Master Ken, Beefcake, The Mighty George, When Kyle, Thomas Bryan. I can't pronounce that portion. I don't know. And Dee Snider.
Dee Snider.
Yeah.
How'd you get Dee Snider?
Dee Snider. Got to pay these dudes, man. They don't do shit for free. Just through Cameo, through the website Cameo or the app. I didn't do the app thing. I just did it online through their website. And it's kind of a smorgasbord. You if you want to talk to Lindsay Lohan, you can pay $20,000 and talk to Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
It just depends on who's happens to be on that app or that service at the time. And there was 1 or 2 people. Actually, I've kind of become a fan of Rhea Ripley over time here. She's a WWE star. And it'd be kind of a fun little thing if she picked a Skullfuckers song to walk out into the world or, into the arena, listening to a Skullfuckers song. That'd be pretty cool.
Right, her entrance song, yeah.
So, thank you, an entrance song. Yeah, there you go. And I was trying to get a hold of her specifically, actually, because I was like, how do I get a hold of this lady? She's a WWE star. I'm sure she gets fan mail all the time. And I was like, well, let's try this Cameo thing. She was on Cameo, and she said, I was only doing 6 cameos for the year, and she must have already done those 6, and it's done and over with, and now you can't talk to her again. It's like, shoot. Well, this is a big site, and there are a lot of stars, so let's start looking at the names. And Dee Snider came up. There was a few names I really wanted, but they were just too much money. Like Dave Mustaine, Like, that would have been rad to have had Dave Mustaine on there. But first of all, I don't even know that he would have done it. And second of all, he wouldn't have been cheap, even a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's how I got a hold of Robert Englund, and that's how I got a hold of, Beefcake the Mighty and all these other guys. A lot of, you can find a lot of celebrities on Cameo, and that's exactly what I did.
Right.
And
so you just write them a message?
No, you shoot them an offer. So they literally have a price tag right by their face. I cost this. And there's a business side and then a non-business side, right? So the non-business side is if you want to wish your wife happy birthday, and you'll pay them $50 or $100, and they'll sing happy birthday to your wife. That's the non-professional side. The professional side is, I want to use you in my music video to brand my product or whatever. Okay, thousands, hundreds, if not thousands, depending on who it is we're talking about. So it's not cheap.
And you had so that was definitely a nice pricey little tag you had.
Say that again. I'm sorry. What?
You had several, well-known names on that in that video, so that was a hell of a tag.
Oh yeah, I spent several $1,000s on it. There's no question. But yeah, D. Snyder, here's the price tag. Here's his cost. So what you do is you just click that name or whatever it is. I forget what icon you have to click, but you click on it, and then it starts to ask you questions like, is this video for you? Is this a business thing? What's the name of your business? What are some things you want this person to say? And when I first sent these offers off, like, I sent highly detailed messages to some of these guys, and they all hit me back with, no, I'm not going to remember any of that. No. So they can decline it just because you solicit them, and you got to put your credit card information in when you make the offer. And then it's up to them to either accept it, and then they take the money from your account, or they decline it, and then Cameo removes the hold from your bank for whatever the amount was for that star. And I solicited to several. There are quite a few people who said no, and then there are quite a few people who said yes. Like Danny Filth from Credo Filth. Scott Ian. What's that?
All I had to say was one more word.
Well, okay, so like with Danny Filth, though, in all fairness with him, I asked him to do the big doozy, like, I want you to say this and remember that and blah, 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 this. And there's a litany of instructions. And he's just like, bro, I'm in the studio. I'm busy. I can't. Scott Ian, same thing. I sent him off a request, and it was a very, it was a litany of things I wanted him to say. And he's like, no, Anthrax is in the studio right now. Charlie's in Pantera, so we only have him for so long. We're busy. You know what I mean? So then I figured it out. Oh, celebrities don't actually want to work for their money. Duh. So then I just simplified it way down. Just say Nightmare in the Camera. Oh, then I start getting hits. Then people are like, oh, yeah, I can do that. So, I figured as much.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the answer to that.
So do you have an estimation or an ETA when you're going to release the next single from the album?
Mid-June, I believe. I've got a management company that I'm working with right now, and that's what their recommendation is like mid-June, from what I can recall. They actually, my point of contact with this company sent me a 6-month planner, highly detailed, organized list of, you need to do this, you have to do that, you have to do these other things too, and while you're at it, do these other 27 different things. And it's like, oh, okay, it's a honey-do list, and it's like, all of the list makes sense though. Like I understand why he's telling me that I need to do these things. And that's what it's all about, kids. If you want to have a band, when you're going out to get a PR company and you're going out to get a manager and you're going out to hire these people, that's what they do for you. These people are trained and they know what, maybe not every single thing they tell you to do is going to be successful, but if they give you a list of 100 things to do, and if you do all 100 things, at least 50 of them are going to work. Probably that's a 50-50 shot. You have, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta make sure that, just for example, I hate Twitter. I hate Instagram. I hate social media as a whole. The only thing I use is Facebook. And everyone I've talked to, every single PR agent, both management people on the team, every single person, they're like, no, you have to use TikTok. You have to start a Twitter account. You have to do Instagram. And not only that, you have to make damn sure that you use the same name for each account and use the same picture just for continuity. So if someone's going to search you and they're like, oh, I recognize that icon, that's what his profile looked like on Facebook, so that's probably the same guy or the same band or whatever. It's just that kind of organization, which I guess, once it's been explained to me, it's like, well, yeah, no duh, that makes a lot of sense. But you'd be surprised. Like, that wasn't my first instinct. Like, my first instinct is to make each one kind of unique. Like, let's go to Instagram and see what these pictures look like, and let's go over here. Nope, they're saying don't do that. Continuity, constant, talking to your fans. I mean, just all sorts of things. That, again, it's stuff that's like, oh yeah, duh, no brainer kind of stuff. Some of these things, but the point is you have to do it, and you have to do it a certain type of way to make these social media algorithms work for you instead of against you. And that's the shit that I don't know nothing about. These algorithms and how social media really works and all. No, that's too new for me. I don't get it. So yeah, you got to have somebody on your team that does. You're only as successful as the team you have working with you. That's what I've learned.
Right. How many more songs do you think you're going to release on this album before you're ready to drop the second one?
Second album?
Yeah. How many more songs off of First Penetration do you think you're going to release?
I think two more. I think they wanted two more. They want one for mid-June, and then I think they said they wanted another one for like September. And I can do it released as a video if I want, or however. And they even want me to have a certain selection of merchandise to push with that release. Again, stuff that's like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? Well, because I'm a musician and I can't think of everything.
Yeah,
I have a keen marketing sense, but just because I have a keen marketing sense doesn't mean there isn't somebody out there who's a lot smarter than me at it. So I want that guy. I want that lady, whomever,
Everyone's human. Even the best of the best, they can forget things too, or just have a minor error somewhere.
And that's why you have to have a team. You just right there. That's exactly why it takes a team. It can't just have one person do it. You have to have a team for that very reason. It's just like you said. One person can't remember everything. Something's going to slip through the cracks.
Yes, at all times. And it is part of the game. And it's not something you want to aim for. It doesn't mean it's okay, but if you it's something you have to accept. It's still. Everyone's human. Nobody's perfect. Perfection does not exist. It is a fallacy, and that includes even with the best of the best.
Right. And here's another thing I learned. If you only have a couple $100 to push your record, that ain't gonna cut it.
No,
I ain't gonna cut it. You know what I mean? Unless you already have a fan base. If you're kind of starting from scratch, or if you're starting to figure it all out and really try to take that next step, it takes real serious money. And let's face it, that Nightmare video I did, it's fun. It's a little goofy. It's a little campy. There are certainly better music videos out there where people spend $100,000 or more on their music video. My music video cost me somewhere around $5,000-$6,000. And that's because I own the equipment. I had friends come in and help me out and stuff like that.
right.
If that was, let's say, Judas Priest or Ozzy Osbourne or Slipknot, even let's use Slipknot. If that was Slipknot doing their next music video, that music video would have easily cost $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, and it would have looked a lot more professional, of course. But then it also wouldn't have been shot in 48 hours. They would have been shooting it for months. So that's why sometimes when you see these professionals and, when's this new record coming out and why is it taking them forever? Like, gosh, I can write a song in a minute. Why is it taking 3 years to drop this record? Because what you don't know is it's not just they have to write the music. They have to make sure that they're ready to tour on this music. So it means they have to know the songs like the back of their hands. Then they have to do all the marketing stuff and get all their ducks in a row and all the products made and everything just to have a successful release. And it's just this whole experience has been really eye-opening. Like I get why things happen the way they do, and I still have a lot more to learn.
Right. Awesome. Well, Rob, you got anything you want to ask or that's
one more question? What do you got?
Do you have any messages for your fans?
Never give up. Don't give up. If you're chasing a dream, keep at it, because there are people out there who have the same dreams as you, and they're going to seem like your competition. And in all intent and purposes, they are. But who has the strongest intestinal fortitude? Who's the one that's actually going to outlast? You know, there used to be a really good music scene back in the late 90s, early new millennium in my hometown here. There ain't that no more, because people grow up, they get married, they start families, they have children. And these are talented dudes who should by all rights have been Limp Bizkit level huge, or Korn level huge, or Metallica level huge. They were that talented. But because they didn't understand, they didn't have the team in place, they didn't have access to all the tools that we have now, people will, like, as point of the story is, people will fall by the wayside. Your competition, just by the nature of the beast, will automatically fall by the wayside just because they don't have the fortitude that maybe you do. That's what I mean when I say don't give up. Even if you're 40 and it seems like your heydays are long gone, they're not. You know, 60-year-old guys who've been actors, and an actor in underground films for years and never got a lick of, any sort of recognition or any sort of money. Next thing you know, they're in an Oscar-winning movie. That stuff happens. And sure, some of it is, the stars just aligning the right kind of way. Luck does play a factor, but you can help influence your luck a lot with what you do or don't do. And it really comes down to having the right team. I can't stress that enough. You can't just have you and a couple of band dudes and now you're in a band. Oh, great. Now what? Who's booking your shows? Who's managing your stuff? Who's taking care of your social media? Those are all jobs. People get paid to do that shit. And you being the manager of your own band, you can only do so much. There's only so much time in a day. And unless you don't want to have a social life whatsoever, and all you do is grind on the internet all day trying to get people to listen to your music, you're going to have to outsource that to somebody. And there are people out there who know what the hell they're doing. You're going to be paying for it. But that's I guess, the other piece of advice. It's kind of a two-parter, I guess. One is don't give up, but the other is don't be afraid to invest in yourself. A $500 demo, you get what you pay for. Maybe because you bought a $500 demo instead of a $5,000 album or a $50,000 album or whatever that number turns out to be, maybe that's why you're not getting as successful as you want to be. You got to have good products. You got to make look around. You are competing with Slipknot. You are competing with Lamb of God, Metallica. So how are they doing it? How are they being successful? A lot of it is, teamwork, who you have around you, investing in themselves, but they didn't give up. Even when the going got rough and life kicked them in the balls. I mean, Randy Blythe, dude, he was in a prison in like Prague for how long? For, the attempted murder of that kid that got pushed off the stage over in like Europe or Czechoslovakia or wherever it was. He was put away in a prison for a while. That guy could have hung it up and said, fuck this, music is not for me. But no, he bared it out. He made it through. He endured, and he didn't give up, and he's still doing it. And Lamb of God, they're on just about every festival this summer that matters, and they've been like that for a while now.
The rest is history. Absolutely.
The rest is history. Don't give up.
Well, I want to say, Rob, again, always good to see you on Wednesdays, Wednesday nights, and I did go away for a few weeks because I had some things I had to take care of, but I am back. And Jay, thank you for the time. Definitely looking for the Skullfuckers first penetration. Looking forward to the rest of it. And the next release for everybody, pay attention. We're looking at June for the next single for the Skullfuckers album first penetration. And they're already working on getting that second album going, which is, what is it, The Coming?
The Second Coming.
Second Coming. All right. It's great. So, I want to say, everyone, thank you. Now, we did mention this before, so what platforms can all the fans find you on if they want to check you out?
All of them. Bandcamp, you can actually buy the record and download it through Bandcamp. You can also stream it through Bandcamp. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. I mean, we're even on Pandora, Napster. That's still a thing. YouTube, just everything. We're everywhere. You just got to look. Just SF Incorporated or Skullfuckers Incorporated, depending on the platform. Some you can get away with using the fuck word, but a lot you can't.
No. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. You guys have a beautiful night. I gotta take my ass to work.
Take care.
Yeah, guys. Mad love and respect.
Just a reminder, do not forget to subscribe and have a great night, guys.
Yeah, subscribe for sure. Help this guy out, man.